Okay, yes, our Ondo State is on our minds this morning, but then what can we do? We just have to move on. Life is like that. Once again, we say, may the souls of those that died in yesterday's incident rest in perfect peace. Well, now we're talking politics, away from that, because next year is around the corner. General elections are around the corner, and almost all the political parties have determined their candidates, at state level governorship candidates, and of course presidential candidates. Of course, the one that is still on cliffhanger, so to say, is that of the APC. Between today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, we know how it goes. Talking about the closest so far in terms of primaries of political parties for their candidates that will represent them in next year's presidential election in Nigeria. But we're looking beyond that this morning. We want to look at the fate of the electorate in all of this, because so many perspectives have been thrown up. Some people are saying that we have a third force already. They're saying Peter Obi of the Labour Party is a credible third force. But then, do Nigerians know that there is any third force? Do they know the fact that there are other political parties beyond APC and PDP? And how should they know? What should they do? What is their right? As far as next year's election is concerned. We have in the studio with us this morning a lecturer from Olabisi Onabanjo University here in Ogun State, Agowo, Ogun State, Dr. Larry Akinla. Dr. Akinla, good morning.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. A long time.
Thank God.
Also, we also have a public affairs analyst. He's actually an architect, Mr. Kozim Sanusi, joining us this morning. Mr. Sanusi, good to see you again.
Yeah, same here.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Dr. Akinla, let's start from you. Imagine perspectives in 2023 election and the fate of the electorate. I was somewhere a few days ago, and a vulcanizer walked up to me and said, Mr. Abiodun, Tanikari Bufumbai, who should we vote for? And I was shocked. I felt that if at this is June, next year is election, and we have people like that, we have average Nigerians who are like that, who don't know who to vote for, the parties to vote for. What do you think is wrong in this situation?
Well, anywhere in the world where democracy is practiced, there are different categories of electorates. There are some who have decided who to vote for, and to a large extent, there's very little you can do to change their opinion. Those ones are the party loyalists, okay? They vote for the party candidates. But there's also a chunk, and these are the people who make the difference in the election. We call them the undecided voters, okay? Some of them have not even decided who to vote for, even up to the last minute of, even when they get the ballot paper, they're still not sure of who to vote for. And the experience you just said about the organizer also shows that the elites have a responsibility to also guide people. In politics, we talk about rationality. Rationality is also from the point of information. What information do the people have? In what way have they been informed in such a way that they can take the right decisions? Okay? The person that is asking you, I just hope that I was asking you a sincere question. Typical Nigerians ask this rhetorical question. He just wants to know, your own thinking, vis-a-vis his own thinking. But if that person is actually asking you a sincere question, see, I'm confused. Who do I vote for? Okay? Then you as an elite can now sit the person down and say, okay, candidate A, this is what you think candidate A stands for. This is what you think candidate B stands for. This is what you think candidate C stands for. So in the view of that, you can now say, okay, it appears that candidate C or candidate A appears to be the best candidate. I remember I lost my paternal grandfather long ago. But when they come to town from the village, They sit us down and ask us about political issues. What do you think? What do you think? And then we'll have a lengthy discussion. And what I think is that they now internalize that. When they get back to the village, they also sit within their own community and then also exchange that kind of information to their community members. So to what extent are we informing the public? Are we educating the public on the right choices? And these are areas where I feel that key stakeholders, probably we are not there yet. But again, you also know that we are in a situation where there is multiple source of information. Even when you are telling somebody the truth, that person has decided within his or herself to hold on to something that is fake. And he will hold on to it very religiously, that even you, that you are telling that person something reasonable, you will start looking stupid. So the dynamics are very, if you ask me, who are we going to vote for? Some people are still going to vote along party lines, as they have done in the past. The major concern for me is, as of 2019, INEC register shows that 84.4 million people registered at voters card, but only 27 million people voted. That's about 36%. So the question is, from a total population of about 211 million estimated, okay, 84 million registered voters, only 27 million people voted. And I keep asking people, can we imagine why our president appears rather very unpopular? It's simply because he won the presidency with barely 16, 17 million votes. So if you put 17 million vis-a-vis the total population about 200 million, that's about less than 10%. It's not even up to 10%. Okay? So for every 10 Nigerian, you can say, okay, you only find one loyal Buharist. And so that's the problem. And the question is, where are the other Nigerians? Okay? Let's also assume that, okay, all the other parties, they have whatever. Can the other Nigerians, the remaining 30, 40, 50 million people who have registered, can they decide to go and vote for an unknown candidate as a form of protest? But
against the system?
Yeah, to say, okay, because democracy gives the people the power. But people don't use the power.
Or do they even recognize that they have the power?
My biggest problem is with the elites, honestly.
Okay, now, you started with the elites. Now you're ending with the elites. Mr. Sanusi, can the elite be also trusted to provide the right information? I am an elite, at least as far as the job I'm doing is concerned. And I was asked by a vulcanizer, who should we vote for in 2023? You know, do you think all the elites will be honest and sincere enough to tell the vulcanizer, you know, at the junction of his street, the right thing to do?
Well, I have issues with how we define elites. Especially when it comes to electioneering and voting. You know, what qualifies you as an elite most times is your education. But there's a difference between being educated and being informed. And you will be shocked that most of the so-called elites are not even involved in election or as electorates, as it is. So someone that is not involved cannot inform, cannot educate. Most of the educated ones, you will find, yes, we find ourselves on several social platforms, social media platforms, giving all sorts of analysis, all sorts of opinions, and all of that, and that's where it stops most of the time. I've asked friends who I think are better placed to even do this education and information of those that are less privileged. direct questions about how prepared are you for the next election. And the first preparation as an electorate is your voting right. You positioned to even vote in the next election, and you'll be shocked by the attitude towards voting from so-called electoral elites. Yeah, that is on one side. The other side is that the question you asked is, can the elites be trusted? Yes, just like you would ask an average person that what determines your opinion, your views about national issues, especially about which candidates or how we should go or which direction we should follow as a people or where we should go as a people. And I would always want to say that the only reason why we are here today is because we have a set of egocentric and selfish elite class in this country. I'll give you one instance. I think I've said it here sometime in one of our programs. I said the other time that we had a mass protest as regards the fuel hike during, I think, Junior Gunatan's administration then, and it was kind of widespread nationwide. It was because a particular strata of the society, a particular class of the society got involved. You know, yes, there is this, the low class is always there. They are there, they are a suppressed class. They are like soldiers that are just waiting for their commanders to give them the order. They're there, but they don't know how to go about it. They're only looking for people to lead their thoughts, to marshal the thoughts for them and tell them this is how to go. They're suppressed, they're there already. They're looking for ways and manners of expressing themselves. And one of such expression is through this electoral process. But they're only looking for that, the commanders, those that are not too far from them, that can come and say, come, this is the way to go. That was what happened because the fuel had suddenly affected all of us, especially those of us in that class. We can't power our generators, we can't move around with our cars and everything. We were able to move out onto the streets and give leadership to this other class of people, that lower class of people, which is more populated than the middle class anyway. And that was why the thing became so prominent, so effective, and it became, you know, at least to a large extent, it produced some of results. If the so-called elites are sincere enough to provide that kind of leadership now, I believe perhaps maybe we can get it right. But from what I've seen, days leading to and up to today, and a few days left, I'll call it a few days or a few months left to how we determine our future. I don't see the elites playing that role yet.
You said the INEC and probably National Orientation Agency, they are doing enough to sensitize the people on ways to go.
You see...
Or is it too early?
No, it's not too early. It's not too early because the doctor said something that we have categories of electorates. And you still find a pattern that has repeatedly been occurring, and you wonder what have we not been doing correctly. These agencies, they have always been there. There's always been so much cry about orientation, about publicity, about information dissemination, and all of that. And the question is that for everything that you put in, you have to measure the output by the outcome. You have to measure the quality of your input by the outcome. From, say, 2019 till today, you know, we just read up those statistics and they are there. Why have we been having this consistent, this perpetual voters' apathy, regardless of the roles of the National Orientation Agency and INEC? What have they not been doing correctly? Have they been using the wrong media to do this mobilization, or what has been happening? Even the political parties themselves have been encouraged to go out and mobilize and do all sorts. But what is really, really happening? Is it because the populace out there don't believe in the electoral process? Is it because they feel that the process does not really throw up their desires? And that's why sometimes I want to query this definition that you give to democracy as the government of the people, by the people, for the people, for the people and by the people. I would say sometimes there is the government of a few, by a few, for the people. By the way our electoral system is set up, is true. Okay, we just mentioned, before we first started, we just had a small joke here about delegates and a consensus candidate. I mean, what input does the ordinary electorates out there have towards the kind of candidates that the parties throw up?
Yeah, I mean, but honestly speaking, you see, because of the nature of my research, I've listened to so many arguments that pains me to my marrow. Between 2014 and 2015, I actually wanted to know how politics is practiced at the grassroots. So, for research purpose, I joined a political party meeting at the grassroots. I was attending political party meeting of the two leading political parties at the grassroots. I was attending one more than the other. And at that level, you are free to attend. Nobody stops you from attending. The door of the politician is open, particularly when it comes to the election period. But you know what shocked me? Who are the people that I find that, right? If at the moment I started attending, I was more like a strange person. You find probably retired teachers, okay, elderly people, the market women, our elderly people, those are the ones, the Okada riders, those are the people who attend the political party meeting. And this is where politics actually starts from. The delegates are picked from each ward. And so if we, the elites, by regulation or by personal designs, choose not to participate at that level, don't let us blame any system. My brother, I tell you something. At times I look at myself and I tell myself, I am one of the problem. I have sincere belief that if given the opportunity, I have what it takes to lead. But do I have the courage, okay, to face what these politicians face? Let's call a spade a spade. Before someone can emerge, even as a delegate, before you are elected from your ward, and then from the ward to the senatorial district, and then to the state level, go and ask them what they go through. And people who understand the politics, okay, those people at the top, they don't sit down and close their eyes. They show interest from these stages.
Would the likes of you show interest, you know, in those elementary stages, when you also can confirm that most of those political parties don't have ideologies, foundational ideologies?
Now, the point is very simple. What do you call ideology? Okay? Now, when you talk to the market women, what do you call ideology to the market women? Abi, if the crop of people sitting down here are the people who form the party structure at the ward level, who will form ideology. Because we understand what ideology is, we will to some extent be strategic. Let me share this with you. After attending one or two meetings, they were reading the minutes of the last meeting. That minute, I will never forget, was captured in Yoruba and Ijebu dialect. Okay? And
how did they write Ijebu dialect?
I'm coming. That's the way the secretary presented it. He said, one for Kaki, Ashoju Gomino, Ewa Yojuso also from Gomino Shafo, and one for Omda Odari Titi. You know, and that message has never gone out of my brain. So everything they are interested in is that, yeah, you are tying the road. Yeah, as party members at the ward, we see it, no problem. Come and tie our own inside belly too. So they're asking for
No, that's...
Let me finish.
Yeah.
So when they now have the meeting, they do something, and then they share the money. Then they share 500 naira. The guy who is our own unit person cannot dare come and face me
with 500 naira.
To come and give me 500 naira. He said, then I was not even a doctor. I said, Mr. Kala, who can they come pay me? Well, kilo come pay. But someone now called me and said, never in your life reject such. That if you reject, the day they are going to consider you for something bigger, they will say, Konegba. And so what that guy will now do is now to convert my own 500 naira to recharge card and give me the recharge card. You understand? So if people are interested in restructuring our politics, then educated, well-meaning people should start from the grassroots. But what happens to us? We want to start from the top.
No, I have a problem with that. And I mean, I'll go historical now. Awolowo, Aminu Kano, Azikwe, who again, Waziri.
Yeah.
You know, they were father figures of those political parties. And I saw a few videos of Awolowo. Anytime Awolowo was talking, you know, in the public, you will see Bola Ige behind him, Senator Okuromu, Onabanjo, and all of that. They were like two soldiers. Yeah. And I think, in all honesty, too, they also, those leaders led their followers very well. But what do we see these days? Those that we call leaders and godfathers in parties, I think they are the ones. That's another level of elite, you know. But I think the major problem we have is that they are also, just like Mr. Kozim said, they are also egocentric. Many of them, it's either they put their wives in positions or their children in positions, you know. And I think that possibly explains why people like you in your class don't want to join. Because if you go in and you say, oh, this thing is blue, and they say it's red, and you know it's blue, you know, the next thing they will do is that this guy is a rebel, so we can't use him.
I'm sorry to interject.
Yeah.
At that period that you mentioned, can you count the number of television and radio stations that we have? We had only one television station in entire West, Western Nigerian Television, WNTV.
And later NTA.
And later, by the time we now had OGTV, the only TV in Ogun State, OGBC, the only radio in Ogun State, right? There was no internet. Can I tell you for free? If Awolowo comes today, right, it will be messed up. Because there is multiple information.
Times have changed.
Yeah, times have changed. If you talk to your children, they look at you, what's this daddy talking about? Something will happen. I was a sad event. When that news broke, the first report was 50. The next one I read was 25. The most intelligent one professionally is scores, unconfirmed number. That is what should be the professional reportage. All right? Because who at that moment did the count? But those are the kind of things that we have. The liberalization of the media space makes everybody an authority.
And there could be confusion.
It's not that there could be confusion.
There is confusion.
There is confusion.
Mr. Kosi, so now, it means that as we go into 2023, confusion is really, really mounting. So many Nigerians don't even know who they should be. But some have actually made up their minds. Just like I said, they will vote according to party lines. Some for APC, some for PDP. But then, if you look at the quality or the figures that are coming out of these two political parties, some people are saying that probably it's just time for us to go for someone that is completely outside that class, you know. And what they are talking about is that there is an emerging third force in the Labour Party, you know, which has Obi as its presidential candidate. Now, is that going to fly? Do you think that's something that Nigerians will look at all as far as next year's election is concerned?
Sometimes in discussions like this, you try not to be political, but then it's politics, and you have to say it as it is.
Yeah.
We just analyzed, or to an extent, discussed the kinds of electorates that we have, the classes of electorates that we have in the country. And we just mentioned those that we vote along party lines. Those are the strong party people. And then we also have people that we call the undecided voters. But the undecided voters will be swayed by 2, 3 very, very sad factors. You know, they are sad, but then they are realities and we can't ignore them. Most of the time, they are either swayed by the ethnic group that the person, the candidate comes from, or the ethnic leaning, or the religious leaning that person, you know, comes from or belongs to. And you'll be shocked, and so it's unfortunate that the major parties too, the major political parties, are playing up these sentiments. You know, these sentiments is always there, even when they are deciding their own candidates. So, you know, you've seen political parties that are deciding who emerges from their party on the premise of what region it belongs to, and the premise of what religion it practices. So you can be sure that the electorates will also be swayed by those determinants. Unfortunately, people have always talked about voting candidates with competence. My question has always been that how do the poor electorates there measure the competence of any candidate? Candidate that has been thrown up already, how do we measure the competence now? What qualities, what credentials do you use in determining who deserves your vote? Especially when you look at the bulk of those that are going to be determining. You just asked me, and to go straight to your question, just ask me about Peter Obi, and I will say that, well, I don't know. A number of people too have said, maybe Peter Obi is, I don't know, this thing about thought force. I'm yet to understand what we really mean or understand by the word by thought force. If it's to become the candidate of maybe a particular faction of Labour Party that makes Labour Party now a thought force, I don't understand it. If you mean a thought force by means of producing the president or by means of changing people's thoughts and thought line about how we see governance, I don't know.
Maybe
yes, because it is still the same.
Yeah, maybe a lot of Nigerians and a lot of opinion shapers have complained of money, involvement of money, inducement in the primaries of first, I mean, that has been started in the primary of PDP. APC, they're having their primary. Such accusation has not even come up. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, we'll get to know all of that. You know, but why did Obi leave PDP? I like to quote him. He said, Nigeria's democracy is consumptional. You know, I think he left PDP because he couldn't just cope. You know, when it became money for money and all that. You know. But we also know how Nigerians also vote. I mean, there's a lot of inducement in town. People go to vote and they collect 2,000, 5,000 naira for to cast their vote and all of that. So that's why I'm looking at how is that thought force going to survive in that kind of environment, in that kind of situation.
Okay.
Dr.
Now, let me just let's talk in terms of figures and statistics. There are 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria, right? In 2019 election, the total vote from the 3 geopolitical zones in the north turned in close to about 19 million votes. The total vote from the 3 geopolitical zones in the south turned in less than 9 million votes. I don't know what your mind is telling you. So, nobody can become a president without the support of the North.
Of the North.
That is a stark reality. Okay? Now, when you look at 2015, the Southeast voted PDP. Southwest voted along with Buhari. And so Southwest gave Buhari the inroad to the South. In 2019, Southeast did a little bit for APC. Now, my concern is very simple. this is an ethnic divided country, and that's the biggest concern. We still vote along ethnic lines.
That's clear.
We still vote along religious lines. If analyzed to you, I would say Obi appeals to the educated elites.
Alone.
Yes. When Obi talks, he talks good grammar, he talks facts and figures, okay, that impresses the educated elites. But the people who vote, is that the language they're interested in getting? Probably not. Atiku, for me, appeals to what I call the Nigerian politician. When I say the Nigerian politician, okay? What are, the rational choice theory? What benefit do I get when this guy gets there? Okay? Many of the people who follow Atiku today, right? Some of them know that it's all about, they know that Telebadebe will benefit. You understand? Then go and ask the ordinary electorate also. That guy, he get money or he will spread the money. Right? We are yet to know who the candidate of APC is. If we know, I would have been able to speculate that these are the people he will also appeal to. So for me,
but there's a huge northern involvement. There's an emerging northern, I don't want to completely say it's huge. The reports told us yesterday that 9 APC governors in the north actually stepped down for Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and unconfirmed reports too are showing that it's been narrowed down to 3 people: Tinubu, Oshibajo, and Fayemi. Now,
that's from the southwest.
From the southwest, that's from the southwest. There is also Amechi in southeast. Is it no south?
And Lawan is still in the race.
Lawan now. I think those some people are this morning too. A faction of the north is also kicking, saying that those 9 governors are on their own. I'm just trying to help Doctor to analyze that. I think the influence of the north, is also likely to shape who becomes the next the candidate of APC.
He said something which I think we must all agree to, right? Can we say it as decent, as honest as possible? What do I mean? I look at the approach of all the delegates, all the aspirants to canvass for the vote of the delegates. And I know that you can actually identify who are the sincere contenders, sincere and genuine contenders. Who are the people who are just there to damage the table or rock the table?
Sincere contenders in the face of the delegates.
Yes.
In the face of delegates.
And the reason why I'm saying that is this. These primaries is simply an election to be done by the delegates. So if you are canvassing for votes, you are only to canvass to the delegates, people who are going to vote.
But is it fair on the electorate that the delegates are the ones that will choose for them? Don't forget, these delegates, their choice was not based, I'm talking about PDP now, all of them. It was not based, it has never been based on a competent person. It has always been the richest, the person that is able to spend more.
I disagree with you, Moji. I just don't study Nigerian election alone, right? Anywhere you practice democracy is very costly. Very, very costly. Nigerian election is not as costly as that of the United States.
Does that mean delegates should be paid?
No, you see, when you talk about delegates being paid, it depends on what you call paid. In other places, they call it mobilization. I want to tell you for free that you mobilize voters to go to the polling booth. Some people will say, I want to go and vote, but I can't move. So you organize transportation for them. But in Nigeria, the difference is clear. Even the so-called people who vote, who talk about politicians, are they not the one asking for money from the politicians? Moji, try it that you want to contest as a councillor in your local government. You will be shocked what people will be telling you.
You're right.
So the people who are also saying that people are collecting money,
in fact,
they are the same people asking for money.
Doctor,
I saw against it. I was against it.
I saw a poll. It may not be maybe from someone. In the absence of institutions that are more legitimate to do this, not doing it, I think populists have taken it up to just put up public opinion polls out there. I saw one on one of the social handles, and the person asked that if you are a delegate and you are giving money, would you accept? You will be shocked by the responses that he got. More than 80% of those that voted said, you know the funny thing, we are so hypocritical or something. They said they will collect the money and vote their conscience. My response to one of them is that, you don't have any conscience. The moment you collected money, you have sold your conscience. You have allowed your conscience already. That's a line that your conscience has told you. It has told you what you want to do. Don't come and don't deceive yourself. What conscience are you talking about?
Let me shock you. In 2015, I conducted a study. I asked electorate in the 6 southwestern states what influenced your choice of candidates in 2015 election, right? And I also asked them, at what point did you decide to vote? And I asked them, okay, if you voted a particular candidate, can you remember the promise that candidate offered before you decided to vote for that candidate? It will shock you that less than 20% of my respondents remember the promise. So again, they will not tell you that they collected money. But if you are voting for somebody, election is an exchange. When I get there, I will do this. Give me your vote. So if you are giving me your vote, you must also be able to say, you promised to do this. So I like what they do in the United States. At the point when you start campaigning, they will start itemizing all your promises.
Of course.
They will list it. And the day you get into government, as you achieve it, they will be ticking it. And then they'll be leaving the remaining that you have not done.
In Nigeria?
Yeah. I think for the first time.
No, but even in the US, have politicians ever been, punished for not achieving their promises in office?
The only punishment you can give them is not to vote them when they come back.
When they come back again.
Yes, and that's that's what they did to Donald Trump.
But that has been largely impossible in Nigeria.
Yeah,
not voting for a politician that didn't fulfill his promise.
Yeah, they do. You may not want to accept.
Well, I think I agree with you. We've seen a lot of that.
Yes. Even in this particular dispensation, we've seen several, politicians that are not going. That are not returning.
Should you then say, as we're closing, Gaja, should you then say that the average electorate in Nigeria is, fast getting educated and sophisticated? Is there any hope in 2023? Are we going to see a shift, in who they vote for, or is it going to be the two big monsters, the two big political parties?
APC must get. I'm predicting APC. You see, the primaries of APC is not just in the interest of APC. People, I don't know why people are not saying it. It's not just in the interest of APC. Now, for the 9 governors of the North to come together and say, see.
The APC governors, so?
Yeah, that's
APC
it.
governors.
APC governors say, see, we cannot hold on to this power. It must go to the South. I think there is wisdom. The difference between the Southwest and other places, in the Southwest, we may not be violent in terms of physical violence, but there's what you call intellectual violence. And I think the people understand that, see, there's this normal Yoruba saying that somebody took a chick from the hen, and then the mother said, okay, what happened when you took the chick of the chicken? He said, he made so much noise. He did this. Forget. What happened to that of the dog? When I took it, it didn't do anything. There's Wala. The one that is not making noise, he has what he wants to do. You understand? If the primaries of APC, right, fails to meet minimum expectation, there will be problem post 2023.
What are the expectations?
I don't know. I'm not saying, you see, there are so many expectations.
Yes.
You understand? And there are so many calculations. And we've started by hearing so many arguments here and there. For me, I would say they should just do the election.
What has
the
been,
delegate votes.
Yeah, I think what should actually be also paramount in the minds of Nigerians is, or the voters, is that what, do you really want to change? You want to change in the country starting from 2023. Last 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, people have complained, have more than ever disunited Nigerians. Insecurity, has never really been this bad in the country. Or what? Yesterday we saw, I don't know the time. I don't know the last time that we saw. We began to see videos of people being slaughtered, on telephone and all that. I think we saw that, a lot in the last 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, and that for me, as a Nigerian, is I think the first thing that should be done by anybody that becomes our president next. Unite this country, and stop all these killings. You don't think that should be the uppermost thing in the minds of Nigerians?
And that's why I agree with this question that you just put to me. It's one of the reasons why I strongly agree with Doctor's last submission here as to how the ruling party, emerges from its primary. It's very, very important. We want to have an issue-based election, and the kind of candidates, the kind of system, the practices that throws up the candidates of the APC will determine the kind of electionary campaign that we will have. The kind of candidates that they put on the table will determine what questions the electorates will be able to put to these people. I must tell you something. Yes. Something changed. And I think it's important that we latch and hold on to that as ordinary Nigerians. More than ever, people are now more interested in party activities towards how the candidates emerge. More than ever. It was never like this before. People are it's so animated now. Everybody is putting opinions. So I want to, if that energy can be sustained all through the campaign, because go everywhere and people are beginning to ask questions. And it's like a bug, it's bound to catch, it's bound to spread. So, and I think the number one item on the table, on the minds of the people, is security.
Okay, now,
I wanted to play the devil's advocate.
Yeah.
We talk too much about the national government when we should be focusing on the governors.
The governors.
I feel that the problem with Nigerian politics is the governors. They are becoming too overbearing. You blame Mr. President. Mr. President cannot even take a decision because the governors are ganged up and say, this is our position. I ask you, if I'm allowed to be the moderator for 1 minute. Now, Ogun State, we have had Oshoba. We have had, who else?
Daniel.
We have had Amosu. We have had Dapo Abiodun. Let's say 4 governors. Are we not repeating the same argument we repeated for all of them?
Yeah, I think I shared this thing with somebody yesterday.
Is it not the same?
For whatever happens in the corner of Odu people will blame Buhari rather than blame their councillor or their local. Anyway, we'd like to tell you as we're closing that OGTV is also set in Abuja. We have 2 reporters in Abuja, 2 cameramen to cover the primary, and it's going to be a huge one. Now we are having pictures from Abuja. Our reporters are on the field already. This is the frontage of the venue of the primary, and it tells you that things are actually getting set. I'd like to ask you, as we see this video, Your predictions as we go into the primary, Mr. Cosby, first and foremost.
The whole thing is still hovering in uncertainty. I must tell you the truth. Yeah. But having said that, I think it's important that APC gets this right. It is very, very critical. It's very critical that the ruling party.
Let's be pundits now.
Who do you think?
Well, if you ask me, going into if you allow the process to take place as it is, we said something here. I take a cue from what Doctor said the other time. You know, for every party campaign like this, you have different categories of candidates. Yeah. And from what has happened within APC, you can be sure of the strong contenders to this position. You know, if you really want to win this election, you should appeal to the delegates. And I must tell you the truth. I mean, if you had asked me to, as a pundit now, I would say, I have the right now to mention names.
Yes. Yeah.
So many people have said there's so many things that have been said around a frontliner in this contest, which is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I'm sorry to say this, there's this very funny expression now, Emilokon, is going around, and it's okay. If you so feel that, you know, that statement, you know, has this sense of entitlement around it, I would say, okay, look at it. Even if this candidate, you know, if you want to accuse him of having this sense of self-entitlement, I would say, has that sense of self-entitlement been put into practice? Have you seen it in his body language in terms of how he has gone around the country to search for the delegates' votes? You would expect that somebody that, given his position in APC, given his antecedents and his pedigree, you'd have expected that somebody like that would just sit somewhere and say, okay, please, just hand me the votes. I deserve this. But this is someone that has gone round, you know, and for every, I've listened, I've read, I've seen all some of his interactions with some of these delegates, once they do openly anyway. I've seen somebody that goes around campaigning, selling out his ideas. That is on one side. I've also seen some other candidates like Professor Oshibaju that has also done same, and you can say same about Amici. So that's why you say, if you ask me, those are the three front liners in this campaign.
Others are not doing much because
I don't know, maybe because I guess as it is over,
mine
it's still over. They're just looking for anointings.
Mine, I'll go straight. Mine, I'll go straight. Right? If media reports is anything to go by, right? Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will win the primaries if they go and vote.
Yes, that's the truth.
I'm sorry, I love all of them, in quotes, right? But you cannot want to do primaries and then you are going to campaign to market women, you are doing the funfair. Those are not the people who are going to vote. Church members are not the ones who are going to vote. Moshonashi members are not the ones who are going to vote. It's a delegate. And that's why, strategically, if on the basis of effort, Bola Ahmed Tinubu will get this.
But
the president is insisting on consensus.
You see, the president may have his own. The president has a right to. But if the people, and then the constitution of APC says even for consensus, all the parties must accede to it, they must agree.
Of course.
And then, you know, in the long run, gentlemen, you don't think this will just come out as, you know, in the long run, you know, much ado about nothing, you know, because they are talking. The president has told them to go choose. The Yoruba aspirants are talking. I understand they had a meeting, you know, with one. You don't think it will come to that and they will say, okay, go and sit down, step down for him?
Abe, you know the way I look at politics?
Yes.
I look at politics as football. Chelsea playing against Liverpool, all right? The Champions League, Liverpool versus Real Madrid. There was so much talk. It was going to be this, it was going to be that. But 90 minutes will decide. And at the end of the game, okay, provided it is officiated properly, everybody will even go ahead and say, that was a nice battle. If at the end of the day, APC primaries is done and every other person is happy, I can tell you for free, right? Nigeria will be the better for it, because this overheating will just die down.
So is APC also being mindful of the monstrous nature of the candidate PDP is presenting?
Atiku is a threat.
So APC have to. They have to.
I was telling you that some of us were not so happy about INEC's shift in schedule,
Yes.
an extension of this. I don't know. So for some of us, it sends a bad signal to a number of people. Because that shift obviously is to allow the APC to do its ruling or whatever and settle on these differences.
All the parties have to
but they at least what is most prominent is that APC needed that shift. APC really needed that shift. And the consensus thing, the 9 governors that you see coming out to give a position, is in response to what the presidents put on their table.
Maybe not.
I want to believe so.
Maybe
I want to believe so because
governors are very powerful. I want the president.
Why I said that? Why I said that, doctor? Why I said that, doctor, is that because I know that statement was tilting somewhere, and those guys needed to do it differently. It's not just a mere coincidence that some governors will sit because I learned that 2 of them were even approached. I don't know, sometimes one clause of the grapevine, sometimes in Nigeria cannot be thrown away.
The presidency of the APC, right, cannot go to the north. If it goes to the north, right, it's like you are looking for war.
But can we say that they are not proponents of that idea? Who feel that because Atiku has emerged?
Don't be too sure about that.
Yeah, because who feels that because Atiku has emerged?
Let me tell you something. Even when you and I know, even when a low team is going to play against a very strong team, they will boast, it's 11-11, we will beat them, nothing will happen. They are trying not, I think the North is trying the South for size, right? They say, okay, let us throw it to them, whether they will accept.
Now, when you say the comments, the earth-shaking comments of Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, made all the difference. Because I think he specifically told the entire world that this is the time for South. Do you think those narratives change the entire color? Because it's like under 24 hours. Not now, came out to support South. Did it change?
Apart from, before he said that, I tell people, when people talk, can you decipher when somebody is talking from the mouth and someone is talking from the heart? Have you seen Shetima? This former
campaign director
of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when he talks. He talks with some energy, authority, emotions, to show you that he's not talking from the mouth, he's talking from the heart. And I agree with you. The statement or the shaking of the table, right, by BAT actually shook the table.
Okay.
To the extent that, let us see what comes out from...
Our own table here is fragile, so...
that we don't shake it.
We can shake it.
I want to thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on this program. Dr. Lai Akela, all the way from Olabisi Onabanjo University. It's been so interesting with you this morning. Thank you so much. Mr. Kozim, Sanusi, it's always tough bringing you here. But this morning, I was lucky. Thank you so much. We can assure you that you're going to see a lot more as far as APC primary is concerned on OGTV tomorrow. 5 p.m. between 5 and 7. Join us. We're going to do a special studio analysis of the primary. So keep that in your diary. Continue to watch us. We'll do that for you tomorrow. And of course, you also saw pictures from Abuja this morning. Our team is there. We have a team of 2 reporters that are coming in with various pictures and reports that are leading us to the primary. I must thank the gentleman once more for coming on this program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll be talking about environmental issues in Ogun State. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere.